Okay.
All right. Open pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Roll call.
Craig Scott,
Here.
Mark Serbrook,
Present.
Ron Vaughn,
Present.
Brad Newbecker,
Here.
Jenny David.
Here.
All right. Review and approval of the agenda. Any comments?
Gotta go back off of that one.
Motion. Accept the agenda. As presented.
We have a motion from Commissioner Serbrook. We have support. Support from Commissioner Vaughn.
Jay,
All right.
all in favor?
All in favor?
Everybody
Yes.
on the phone too?
No, I'm killing my.
Hi.
All right. Okay, review of the minutes from the December 9th regular meeting.
Okay.
I had something on those minutes. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep, go ahead.
Under the public comment, I would like the word slander removed from there. Instead, I would like that to read under the public comment. Mr. Harper responded to comments and allegations made at the previous meeting made by Mr. Harper's daughter.
That was the word he used, was slander. That's why it's in there.
Yeah, I don't care for that word in those minutes. And I'm requesting that to be removed.
And replace with comments.
Pardon me?
And replace with comments, responded to comments and public comment.
Responded to comments and allegations made at previous meeting made by Mr. Harper's daughter.
That's factual.
That's factual.
Yes, it is.
Also in those minutes, it was stated that I attended the Northern Michigan Commissioners meeting, but I just had correspondence with them. I didn't actually attend it. So,
Says I think the undersheriff and I did. That was factual.
Hey, at least I got something right.
document that.
That's something right.
All right, one more time, how you would like this public comment.
Are you speaking to me?
Yes.
Okay. So I would like it to say Mr. Harper responded to comments and allegations made at the previous meeting by Mr. Harper's daughter.
All right, do we have support? Or do we have a motion?
I'll move to approve the agenda with corrections. Minutes, what'd I say?
Agenda.
Minutes.
All right, we have a
Minutes of
motion.
The ninth meeting there.
We have a motion. Do we have support?
Support.
Support from Commissioner Serbrook. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, 3B is December 9th, 2021 closed session meeting minutes. Has everyone reviewed those minutes?
I have reviewed and signed. I'll make a motion to accept them as presented.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Scott and support from Commissioner Vaughn. All in favor?
Aye.
3C, December 16th, 2021 Committee of the Whole meeting. Everyone reviewed that?
I reviewed those. Now make a motion to accept them as presented.
Motion from Commissioner Vaughn. Do we have support?
All support.
Support from Commissioner Scott. All right, that brings us to
All in favor?
all in favor. Yeah.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, and that will take us to item 4, public comment on agenda item matters. If you have a comment, state your name for the record, speak only to the chairperson, stand behind the podium when speaking, listen to comments for 3 minutes or fewer, and follow the direction of the chairperson when speaking. Do we have any public comment? Do we have any public comment on Zoom? Okay. Item 5A is correspondence from Alpena County on the American Relief Plan, state matching programs. Tim, do you want to expand on that?
This is a resolution that we've actually seen from some other counties as well. It's just encouraging the state to work with the local governments and kind of match our monies that the counties have received, as well as our cities, villages, and townships, and potentially to leverage some projects so that we combine our efforts, we'll get greater impact overall.
All right, thanks, Tim. Correspondence on 5B, Eden County, regarding the federal vaccine and testing mandates.
Okay, and Eaton County is taking a very, so I say pointed position on federal vaccine and testing mandates. They are opposing them, some rather strong language in their resolution concerning the president exercising that authority, but needless to say, they are opposed to any vaccine mandate and any testing mandate.
All right. Did the rest of the commissioners have a chance to review those two correspondences?
Yep.
Yes.
All right, any comments?
Nope.
All right. All right, number 6, action on consent calendar. And all right, nothing further. Item 7A, resolution to appoint a chief county medical examiner. All right, this resolution is sponsored by the county administrator. Can you kind of explain it?
Well, we received correspondence from the organization that is handling our medical examiner services. That's Michigan Institute of Forensic Science and Medicine. There was a recent change in personnel. Dr. Russell Bush is no longer with the firm, but he was named our chief medical examiner, and the county, under the County Medical Examiners Act, is obligated or required to appoint the chief medical examiner for the county. So as Dr. Bush departed upon the recommendation of the Forensic Science and Medicine Institute, this resolution would appoint Dr. Roshan I was really hoping, Brad, you'd have to say this. And Dr. Roshan
Common pronunciation.
as our chief medical examiner for the balance of the term of the agreement. Now, typically, a medical examiner would be appointed to a 4-year term. I clearly was not part of the county when this contract was entered into, but I'm assuming that it was intended that the term would expire with the contract. So that's what this resolution would reflect, so that come March 31st of 23, all things going smoothly between now and then, that's when that term would expire.
Dr. Mahabir.
Hey,
Go ahead, Jenny.
I'm sorry. I was just going to see if we've had time to further dig into this since the committee of the whole.
I have had discussion with the county prosecutor since then. We very likely will be having further discussion about this after the first of the year. But what this resolution does is meets our obligation to make sure that we have a medical examiner that's officially appointed and recognized for the county.
And it's tied to the contract. I'm sorry, it's tied to the contract, so that if we did escape the contract early, then this would expire too. Correct?
We're sure that this individual's got the correct certification. I think, Tim, you asked that.
I asked that, and when he was hired, gosh, back late summer, early fall, Dr. Bush provided us with very detailed credentials of both Dr. Mabir and another person they'd hired, and no question, as far as what I can tell on paper and in talking to Mr. Hart over at the Forensic Science and Medicine Institute, yes, he appears to have all those credentials. Now, we do have Mr. Hart, looks like on Zoom, so if you had any more questions about Dr. Mabir, they'd probably be able to answer them.
Oh, there they are.
Was this the contract that we talked about at the committee of the whole, or is there another one going forward with their services that we were waiting to hear from LaDonna on?
No, there's no other contract. Right now, we are recognizing the contract that we have with the Institute. Anything that we would do would be independent of this resolution. What we're doing here is simply meeting our obligation under the statute to make sure that we have a medical examiner appointed for the county. The conversation about continuing with the Institute would be a separate conversation. If the board decided to go in a different direction, then at that point, likely we would end up having to appoint another individual to serve as the medical examiner, if that occurred. Otherwise, our contract runs through March 31st of 2023. If there were no change, then this appointment will go through that date.
So I'm sorry, you probably said, but so LaDonna had all of her questions answered and she's comfortable with us going forward with this?
I can't say that with any level of certainty. I have asked her to come to a committee of the whole meeting to talk to the board about concerns that she might have. And then we can have that conversation at that time in the first person rather than my trying to interpret what she said.
So should we table this?
No, I think you need to appoint your medical examiner.
Definitely. I make a motion that we adopt the resolution as presented.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Serbrook and support from Commissioner Vaughn to approve the resolution to appoint a chief county medical examiner with the same contract otherwise, right?
Right.
Correct. Can I get a roll call vote on
Is there
that?
any more comment?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yep. Is there any more comment?
Nope.
Statutorily, it just needs to be done. Statutorily, we have taken a point, a chief medical examiner at this point.
Agreed, but I also think we need to find out what the concerns are.
I don't disagree with you on that one bit. A separate issue that, again, Tim was asked LaDonna to present any concerns that she might have, and we can dig deeper on that at the time. Right.
Yeah, until she brings those concerns forward, we're moving forward. Can I roll call vote?
Brad Newbecker,
Yes.
Jenny David,
No,
Rick Scott,
Yes.
Mark Serbrook,
Yes.
Ron Vaughn.
Yes.
All right, resolution approved. 7B, resolution to approve job description for jail cook. This is a resolution sponsored by the county sheriff and corrections lieutenant. Job descriptions can help identify particular skills and abilities that are necessary for a position or the environmental pressures that apply to the position. A well-written job description establishes a solid set of expectations for employers to communicate to employees by highlighting key duties and responsibilities. The proposed resolution would establish a job description for jail cooks, subject to provisions of the Teamsters Local 214 Collective Bargaining Agreement. Do we have
I'll move that we.
Commissioner
approve the
Scott?
Resolution.
Support.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Scott with support from Commissioner Serbrook. Any more discussion?
I just had a question on that. I'm sorry. The resolution I didn't see, I know last week at the committee of the whole, Mr. Ogier had brought forth a certification, I think. I didn't, did I miss that in the job description, or is that not something that would go in there?
Under the employment qualifications on the line that starts with education, there's a second sentence. The ServSafe certification is required within 6 months of employment.
So I missed it. Okay.
All right, any more comment? All right, do we have a motion or do we have a? Yeah, we do. Can I get a roll call vote?
Ron Vaughn.
Yes.
Brad Newbecker.
Yes.
Jenny David.
Yes,
Mark Serbrook.
Yes.
Yes. Correct.
Craig Scott.
Yes.
Motion approved. All right. Item 7D. Resolution to authorize application, no, I'm sorry, I skipped one. 7C. Resolution to authorize attendance at Kirtland Community College Police Academy. So we have a motion to approve that resolution.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Serbrook, support by Commissioner Vaughn. Discussion?
I had some questions on there. I wrote down, it said $10,200 in resources and equipment related to wages and benefits was part of that as well, correct? That was a total of not to exceed $10,200?
That was the estimated wages just based on the hourly rate times 40 hours a week. So there would be additional cost to that 10,400 or what's that?
10-2.
10,2.
And then I didn't see anywhere in this resolution where there was a period of time listed that he would be willing to work for the county or like amount of years, amount of hours. I didn't see, all I seen was that if the program is not completed, then the money has to be replaced. But I didn't see any agreement as far as payback to the county once this is completed. Did I miss that?
There's a reference in the
Toward the end, third paragraph from the end.
Policy 45.
But it's not real specific.
The policy is, it may not be in the resolution, but it's policy specific, is it not?
It is. It has
Okay,
like
then
a
it's not the
5-year
resolution.
5-year commitment. And we would also ask that the deputy in this case would sign an agreement like we did with the other two that just completed the academy that would have all of this spelled out as well.
Does it state in there a full-time basis?
It just says a 5-year commitment. And right now the position that the individual holds is a part-time position.
Right, so I stand correct on that, that there doesn't say full-time, part-time, how many hours, it just says a 5-year commitment.
Right.
Correct, that's what my other thing is I seen something this week that came out from, I think it was MAC or something from the governor, that there's gonna be a lot of funds that are gonna be available for training, recruitment, retaining, law enforcement. I'm wondering if some of those funds can be utilized for this. Because my other question would be is where is that $10,200 gonna come from? How are we gonna pay for this?
Well, the short answer to your second question is we're going to need to bring you a budget amendment to show that to you, and that will occur in January. As far as the new funding that's been made available to the state, I have alerted the sheriff's office about that funding. Very confident they'll be pursuing that along with the potential. If that particular program follows the trend from the CARES programs that were imposed last year, we may be able to recoup some costs from the training of the 2 officers who just graduated as well. So this is definitely something that we'll want to pursue. I don't know what all the other details are in terms of retention. There are, I think, potentially some other dollars in there that we could go after on top of it. So to answer the question, yes, that's going to be a priority that we check into that, and whatever the state can fund out of this, we definitely want to put in our application.
Well, we can't pull that money from the road patrol millage because this isn't going to be utilized to enhance road patrol, correct?
That's right.
So, I mean, right now at this point in time, I don't know how the other commissioners feel about this, but with these other monies that are possibly available, I would like to table this resolution.
But weren't these funds coming out of Michigan Works?
The cost of the training is coming.
Cost of the training.
Right,
training.
right. The wages are not,
The wages would have
Right.
to come from the
Right.
301 budget.
The training was like $8,600 or 82, 83, something like that.
The 301 budget is the sheriff's budget, sheriff's office budget.
So where specifically would it come from then?
We would have, sorry,
We will be bringing your quarterly budget adjustments in January will include this, and we had issue of the overtime as well that needs to be addressed. That will be brought to the board in January. If the board passes this resolution tonight, this 10,200 will be addressed in that adjustment. I don't have any detail beyond that for you right now as to which lines will be adjusted, but that detail will be provided. This budget, as it stands right now, the goal of bringing it back is there will be no change to the bottom line. And again, I'm confident we can accomplish that, working with the sheriff and the undersheriff to make sure we're taking it from adequate lines.
Do we have, I guess, again, I would recommend tabling this until we know if we're able to get our hands on more funds to support this.
Well, it isn't more funds needed, as Tim just said. It's going to all come out of the 301, which is the sheriff's office budget. They're going to rearrange their budget internally to pay for this. There's no additional money is coming into it.
well, I think you needed the certification also for, what was it, snowmobile? You have to have a certified officer.
the ORV.
The ORVs, okay.
There's discussion that you have to be MCO certified.
Right, you gotta be on, okay, so you
Right,
need,
but
But the cost of it will be covered by the budget itself.
That's what Tim said.
That's what.
Well, that's
Tim just
line item
explained.
adjustment,
Yeah,
the
Right.
bottom line is no change.
But do we have an idea at this point where that budget adjustment's gonna come from?
Right now, I look at I see one large line in the budget that is vehicles, for instance. It could come from that line. You got a number of lines in here that without the benefit right now of seeing where the spending stands and looking at prior years. But there's just a number of so-called target lines stand out that funds could be moved from. I'm very confident that the funding is in here to do that. But again, the bottom line being, we don't adjust that bottom line at all. We still maintain, and the bottom line on the sheriff's budget for the sheriff's office, $944,118 by the time we're finished. That's what that expense total will be, unless there's other revenue coming in, which we're not projecting any of that. So we're just, of these couple of dozen line items that are in here, we'll make the adjustment within those lines and make sure that bottom line remains the same, so the general fund is still balanced.
I guess, I'm sorry.
Well, there
I
are,
still,
go ahead, I'm sorry.
I mean, I'm sorry. I agree. I think this is great. Michigan Works is paying for this. I'm 100% in favor of this. Obviously, someone in continuing, and this will be another valuable asset to the department. But when this individual from, if I understood correctly last week, is currently only working 1 or 2 days a week as security, and we're offering to pay them 40 hours per week for 17 weeks. I guess that's not what, when this program started, that's not what we decided we were going to do. I wouldn't have a problem continuing to pay this individual 2 days a week like he's been working. But as far as a 40-hour work week for 17 weeks, when that's not what they've been providing for services for the county, that part I don't understand.
Well, that comes down to compliance with the Fair Labor Standards Act, because we're sending one of our employees to training. We're obligated to maintain that hourly rate while they're at training. So it's, a situation where we can't send a person for training for 40 hours and only pay him for 20.
But they were signed up for training before we even approved this. So we didn't technically send them without board approval.
And that's true now. The resolution that you have in front of you would authorize the sheriff's office to send the officer for training. It hasn't been approved yet. There's a motion on the table, but until there's a vote that says yes, it doesn't happen.
Well, I guess that's what my concern is we're spending $10,200 here, and with the opportunity that it could be covered through a grant later on. But if this is only for someone who may only work 1 or 2 days a week, I guess that seems like a lot to invest for not very much service. Who do we have right now that's available to do this? Who's MCOL certified that can perform these duties, that's on the roster?
I'm sorry.
That's on the roster right now. Who do we have that can do this?
Deputy Schrumpf, we struggle with his name. He's the primary for the ORB. As far as MCOLs, there currently also is Deputy Worthy and Deputy Odell. And Deputy Scott are 4 MCOLs that are still on our MCOLs roster as part-time. But as I talked about last meeting, they had a lot of difficulty this past summer making hours available with their other employments to get out on the road for the ORV patrol. With this particular circumstance, it gives us an opportunity to get Deputy Better here through the training academy, get an MCOL certification, and he would work Marine Patrol and ORV for us next summer with his current status of retirement.
So would that increase his hours?
Yes, I mean, he worked quite a bit last summer with the Marine Patrol, so there would be some adjustment as far as covering the Marine Patrol hours when he would be out doing the ORV. We also do have another potential employee that we're looking at down the road for next summer as a part-timer also to help make sure we take advantage of everything that we can.
I guess the other thing is you mentioned a couple of the deputies are on the roster, but they're not available very often. Yes, what are the costs that we incur by having those deputies on the roster, especially if they're not working? I mean, are they covered under our insurance policy? Are they
Part-time seasonal as far as being on the MCOLs? So that is one thing, if I speak for the sheriff, that will be addressed starting January 1st. That there's going to be a minimum hours that a part-time, temporary employee is going to have to give to the department. Or we're going to have to look at moving on from keeping them on the roster.
So based on that potential change, do you anticipate having those other officers available, or are we going to be shorthanded?
I can't speak to them and for them. I mean, until we put that parameter down, one deputy works for UPS, another deputy works for consumers. I believe the third deputy is a real estate agent. So it's where are they going to get the most benefit, working their primary job or committing to some weekend hours to meet an obligation that we're going to set to make sure that we have the part-time bodies to get these grant hours filled. With ORV and the Marine Patrol especially, that's, next summer we have a lot of work to do in those arenas. With the ORV ordinance, I think that should be a priority for us next summer. So.
And that's our only need is just ORV. There's no snowmobile.
Snowmobile, we have officers that are going to be covering it this winter. We're already addressing that, and snowmobile is $5,000. So those hours are met on weekends when we have high activity on the trails, and we've been successful every year in getting adequate coverage for snowmobile. But you have a little less as far as the officers are concerned, 1 to 2 officers versus when ORV is in place, so is Marine. So now you've got 2, 3, 4 officers having to split off several lakes and also looking at ORV coverage. So that's where we run into needing more hours to cover both those grades at the same time of that.
I guess my only question is do we incur any more costs by keeping those people on the roster? And if they're not putting in any hours, then should we still have them on the roster? Is there, Tim?
Yeah, there's no benefits that they receive. There's no, the only cost would be their range cost. They are required to keep their MCO certification. They do have to go through the course of fire to qualify with their firearms in order to be able to carry it as an MCO officer if and when they do perform. So there would be ammo costs that are associated with that, yes.
No retirement or
No.
Nothing else.
Retirement, no.
Oh,
No health, just when they actually work, they get their wages, their part-time wages and whatever FICA and that are included in that
but they're still covered under insurance policy if they do work, right?
while they're working
yeah.
as workman's comp.
Okay.
And a general liability policy.
Right.
All right. So Commissioner David, you have a motion to table this for now?
Yeah, I made that motion.
Do I have support for that motion? I will support that motion. Let me get a,
So the motion from Serbrook and Vaughn goes away.
Hold right away. Just hold on. You gotta have a vote.
we're gonna have a vote for the table and then we'll vote on that if we need to. So can I have a roll call vote on the tabling of the resolution?
Craig Scott,
No,
Mark Serbrook,
No.
Ron Vaughn,
No.
Brad Newbecker,
Yes,
Jenny David.
Yes,
okay. That motion fails.
Can hold on just a second here. I want to cross-reference the board rules.
Okay.
okay.
Just give me a second to find it here. There's probably a search thing on here. I just don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Okay, proceed. If a second, or if the motion on the table, yeah, it requires a majority to approve. So yeah, you're good to go.
You're good to go?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. I guess I'll only add to the discussion that we were involved in is I wish we were spending this money for a full-time officer. A part-time officer, just seems like we're going through all of this for not a whole lot of benefit. If Deputy Vetter could expand on his hours and it would make more sense for the county to do this, then I'd be fully for it.
and, sorry, Commissioner Becker, and if there was some commitment in that policy that said how many hours versus just a 5-year, as you just heard, that there's 5 deputies that are not currently very active. I think for $10,200, just a 5 years, I think there needs to be more detail in there as far as how many hours.
Is that something that you guys could expand on in this resolution?
As far as requirement for hours,
Requirement for hours for the current resources that we have. And then also, that would be obviously not part of this resolution, but just stating how many hours that Deputy Vetter would be contributing once he comes back from the training, and then for how many years that he would be willing to sign on for.
I mean, well, certainly if the board wants me to put a minimum number of hours as part of the contract or the policy,
Can I jump in? I've got some concerns. I think, number one, a 5-year commitment's a 5-year commitment. He's working a grant program. There's no guarantee those grant dollars are gonna be there to cover how many arbitrary number of hours we say you need to work in a calendar year. What happens if the state of Michigan says, we're not gonna fund ORV in 2024? It's beyond his control.
Mhm.
We don't know, those dollars fluctuate all the time. At least historically they have. I
But
mean,
what-
we've gotten, less and less. So I think that, 5 years is 5 years, whether you work, 100 hours or whether you work 1,500 hours. That's my opinion on it, because I don't think you can take and tie an hourly figure to a grant program that may not exist in 4 years or 3 years, or God knows even next year. Who knows what the state of Michigan is going to do with the grant dollars?
Mhm.
We're at their mercy, and how much money we get, they're gonna try their best to spend it. Trust me. So I didn't mean to jump in and cut you off, Mr. Sheriff, but
I would just point out too, along with that, I mean, to put hours to it in the original memo too, part of this is going to have the availability of an MCO certified officer to backfill shift.
That's what my next question was gonna be.
But we have to meet the obligations of the contract for the full-time and the overtime before we backfill a shift with a part-timer. So that is the second part of this scenario, is to give us this opportunity because of his situation, his retirement, willingness, is that we would be able to utilize him time to time in conjunction with the contract and to backfill shifts so that we don't have periods of time for certain circumstances where we might not have a midnight car to roll.
Well, exactly. And that's obviously overtime is a big concern. That's kind of what my question is Commissioner Serbrook brought up a really good point. What happens if we don't have this grant in another year? So we're going to put someone through a training and we may not even have the grant available. So then they would have to, I assume, be put in road patrol if we were to maintain your agreement.
And I've not been a party to this. I know there's a line item for a part-time deputy under the sheriff's 301 budget. So I guess my comment to that would be is that we would have to look at that time about funding a part-time, keep that obligation of backfilling shifts, per the contract and that type of thing, and meet some hour requirements for there. So I mean, we would have to go back to the budget or plan in that fiscal year budget process. If the grant for some reason didn't come through, we would have to look at our part-time budget to see if we can create that to meet the obligations. That would be my thought on it.
Well, that's why I'm kind of up in the air about really approving this yet. I think we probably should think this through a little bit more, but that motion was denied. So we're going to go ahead and vote on this. Does anybody have any more questions?
I see both sides here. I understand, because the current policy in the sheriff's office is you can sit on a list for years and years and never do anything. Okay, that's your current policy right now, because you got names on a list right now that don't even work here anymore. Okay, wait a minute, they're just on the list, so theoretically or hypothetically, Mr. Vetter could move out of state, and as long as he stayed on the list, then he's committed to that 5 years. And you could always, the people that are still here in the state, like you two, would come to the meeting and say, well, he's still on the list, and we can call him back, and because currently there's no commitment to stay on the list. You could just stay on the list. Now, that's one side of it, you know. Now, you just heard me vote against the table, so let's go, let's take it step by step. But my thing is this stays within the sheriff's office budget, you know. Now, when I say that, down the road, we're only in month 3 of a 12-month budget. It comes month 11 and they want something more. It's like, what happened to your budget dollars? Oh, well, we spent it on overtime and we sent that guy to school. Well, then I guess you managed your money that way. I mean, yeah, I mean, you know, we've talked about this how many times that we're the commissioners, we make the budgets and we protect the budgets and everything else. But elected officials have offices to run. So they're making some choices right now with how they're going to spend that budget. If down the road, if they can't cover certain things, hey, it ain't my fault. They're the ones that spent the money this way. That's where I'm at. They can justify this, that they can move this money around and bring it to us and show us that. They're not just doing it on their own. They're not freelancing this. Oh, they can make this adjustment, fine. The bottom line doesn't change. We're doing our job, they're doing theirs. I'm good with it.
All right.
I
Any
can
other,
see your side of it too, but, you know, well, then again, that's the other thing. We can't tell them how to make their policies either. You know? That's where I'm at.
all
I'm
right.
done.
Thanks for your input. All right, can I get a, Ron, you got anything?
Nope, I'm good.
Can I get a roll call vote, Brett?
Jenny David,
No,
Craig Scott,
Yes.
Mark Serbrook.
Yes.
Ron Vaughn.
Yes.
Brad Newbecker.
I'm gonna say yes, but I just think that, I hope we figure this thing out.
That'd be a yes with reservations.
Caution,
It's yes or no.
huge caution. All right. Motion approved. Next item, 7D, resolution to, I'm sorry. Nope, that is correct. Resolution 7D, resolution to authorize application for federal assistance. This is also a resolution that is sponsored by the county sheriff. The United States Department of Agriculture Rural Development Program provides funding for delivery of essential services to local communities in primarily rural areas. The sheriff's office has demonstrated a need for an animal control vehicle, pickup truck for towing marine and ORV equipment, the boat trailer for marine patrol, jail transport vehicle, and a sheriff's deputy patrol vehicle. The proposal is to seek up to $136,632 in federal grant funding for these purchases, with a local match commitment of up to $111,885.
Make a motion to approve the resolution as presented.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Serbrook and a support by Commissioner Scott. Can we hear any comment?
Doesn't obligate us to accept it if it's approved. If we're not approved, I mean, they're just submitting a grant application. If the federal government approves the money for one or all of them, then we can decide at that point in time whether we want to accept it or not. And, I mean, we're not under any obligation.
Correct.
Any other comment? All right, can I get a roll call vote, Brett?
Craig Scott,
Yes.
Mark Serbrook,
Yes.
Ron Vaughn,
Yes.
Brad Newbecker,
Yes.
Jenny David.
yes,
Item 7E, resolution to authorize purchase of day treatment facility furnishings. We reviewed this at our last committee of the whole meeting. It is to furnish the
Day treatment.
day treatment center across the street. Basically furniture, other furnishings. The approval to spending up to $12,000 for the purchase. And not to exceed $15,000 Is that correct, Tim?
Right, so it would be not to exceed 12,000 on the actual items to be purchased, and this would also authorize a temporary increase in the procurement card to $15,000 should they need to order this from sources outside of the community. That would provide them the room not only for the furnishings, but also for their regular purchases that they would put on the procurement card. That would be a temporary authorization for this transaction only. Otherwise, it will revert back to, I believe they've got a $3,000 limit right now on that card. And this would also be subject to the carrier of the card allowing us to do that.
Still don't have a response yet.
Yeah.
All right.
Make a motion.
Motion by Commissioner Serbrook. Do we have support?
I'll support.
Commissioner Vaughn supports the resolution to authorize the purchase of day treatment facility furnishings. Any other comment?
Those funds do come out of the ARPA funds, correct?
Yes.
You know, Tim, did Michael get back to you on the pricing? Did Office Central, were they able to match Amazon? Did we hear back at all?
He's been wheeling and dealing since we last spoke. I talked to him just before the meeting started. It looks very positive that he's going to be able to stay local with this purchases for the bulk of them. There was
Good.
some issue with, I think, the tables. I'm not sure there was anywhere locally that provided those, but as far as the chairs and some of the other things he discussed, he's pretty confident he's going to be able to get them locally and get them delivered and get them assembled, which is all good news.
Good, thank you.
Any other comment? All right, can I get a roll call vote?
Brad Newbecker,
Yes.
Mark Serbrook,
Yes.
Ron Vaughn, Jenny David,
Yes,
Craig Scott,
Yes.
All right, motion approved. Next resolution is resolution to authorize application for materials management county engagement grant. This is a resolution sponsored by the county administrator. Tim, can you expand on that one?
This is again, one of those application resolutions. This isn't any monies that's been awarded yet. We were approached by the Conservation District at Aranac County and asked if we would team up with them to apply for this grant, which would in effect take a very serious look at opportunities for what they're calling materials management, but probably better known by names like recycling and composting, and determine the viability of doing that in Ogemaw County, just exactly how that would come about if it were viable. By teaming up with another county, the grant actually grows in terms of the amount of money we could apply for. Single county can apply for 10,000. If counties corroborate, 12,000 each. So there's roughly a $4,000 impact on two counties putting this together. What makes this very attractive is that there is very little chance that we could make this viable working just as a single county. All the different components to a program like that would probably overwhelm us in a hurry. A county like Aranac help makes that more viable. I can tell you right now, if we do this, we'll probably even expand that even further. Just for the economies of scale to go with a program like this. But this is in effect a planning grant that would allow us to explore what the options are and determine what the best path would be for Ogemaw County, and in this case, in considering Aranac County as well.
And didn't you say that in the future we could expand to other counties as well?
Frankly, in all likelihood, I think one of the findings would be, even before we get into the plan, is that we're going to need other counties to participate to make it work. And I couldn't venture right now as to which counties those would be, but this is, and probably Commissioner Scott more qualified to speak to this than I, but bottom line is we just need the volume, and a single county here is not going to have the volume to make it viable.
All right. Do I have a motion?
I'd make a motion that we accept the resolutions presented.
Motion by Serbrook. Do we have support?
Support.
Support from Commissioner Scott. Any other comment?
I just want to say something briefly, and I know I said this last week. After what Aranac County just did to us, and I understand it's something totally different. This is a conservation district. I would just rather see if we have any other neighboring counties that would like to participate with us versus Aranac. But that's just again, that's probably poor reasoning, but that is my reasoning.
Tim, we're still assured that because the deadline to apply for this is passed, that we're still in the window to be able to do this, though, correct?
That's what I understand. And if-
That's the problem, I think, Jenny, is the fact that technically the window for this has closed
That's correct.
to application to the state for the grant. So if we don't act on this tonight with somebody, we're gonna be by ourselves on this, because anybody else that wanted to do it or thinking along the same lines we are has probably already done it. So that's my big concern, is the fact that, we're actually, the window was technically closed, but I think Aaron's been working on something to try and keep it open in hopes of this collaboration deal, so.
Well, this was very poorly planned. I actually had received the original email, I believe, Tim. It was only about a week ago, maybe 10 days ago, that
Sure.
I forwarded the email to you. So this has been very last minute on Aranet County's behalf. And then they called me the day before the committee of the whole. And I asked her to reach out to Tim. She just needed confirmation, basically proof stating we'd received it and we're discussing it. But this has been very, very poorly planned out on their end.
I don't disagree with you there at all.
I agree with you, Jenny. We've made decisions before and last minute decisions that we've learned to regret. And I still don't know if we know enough about this to make a agreement with them. So that's my call on it. Commissioner Vaughn, do you have anything else?
No, I'm good.
Okay, roll call vote.
Ron Vaughn,
Yes.
Mark Serbrook,
Yes.
Craig Scott,
Yes.
Jenny David,
No,
Brad Newbecker.
No. Motion passes. Next one is resolution to approve fiscal year 2022 Michigan medical marijuana operation and oversight grant contract. This is a resolution, or this resolution is proposed by the county administrator to accept a grant of $4,965 to be used for education, communication, and outreach regarding the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act. District Health Department number 2 has administered this grant on behalf of Ogemaw County for several years. Approval of the resolution will allow the program to continue. So again, this is an annual grant. Anything else on that, Tim?
No, it is though $436 reduction from last year. And a question had come up at committee of the whole, so it's not a huge reduction, but it is smaller.
Make a motion, we accept the resolution as presented.
I'll support them.
Motion by Commissioner Serbrook and support from Commissioner Vaughn.
Commissioner Vaughn and I both sit on District Health too, and they're more than happy to administer this, and they've got the plans already in place to be able to do it. So, I mean, it's not dependent upon, they've administered it in the past, they're happy with, doing it. From what I know, they've done a good job of spending that money wisely, so.
It shows here any county appropriate funds that come from the health department. What's allocated to the health department, so the county board here, as we said, won't cost us anything.
Correct.
Yep.
Basically, it's pass through.
Pass through money. Yep. All right. Any other comments? We'll get a roll call vote.
Craig Scott,
Yes.
Mark Serbrook,
Yes.
Jenny David,
yes,
Brad Newbecker,
Yes.
Ron Vaughn.
Yes.
All right, next item, 7H, resolution to adopt calendar year 2022 meeting schedule. Section 2.2 of the Board of Commissioners Rules of Procedure establishes that unless otherwise changed by the board, regular meetings of the Board of Commissioners shall be held on the second and fourth Thursday of each month. The Open Meetings Act requires posting of the notice of board meetings in each calendar year, indicating the date, time, and place of the board's regularly scheduled meetings. Approval of the resolution will establish meeting times and dates for the 2022 calendar year. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Motion by Commissioner Serbrook and support from Commissioner Scott. Have any other changes or comments? Look pretty good to me. Roll call, we need a roll call vote or all yay?
Yeah, either one.
We're not spending any money.
Yeah, we're not bad.
That's pretty high.
What's the resolution? Do we have to have a roll call on resolutions?
Okay,
I thought it was just money.
I thought it
yeah, I
was
think it's just money.
I don't know,
Well, we'll do a roll call vote, just,
just to be play safe.
all right.
all right, roll call.
Serious. Jenny David,
Yes.
Brad Newbecker,
Yes,
Ron Vaughn,
Yes.
Mark Serbrook,
Yes.
Yes.
Craig Scott.
all right. Next on the, what's that, motion passed. Next on the agenda is claims. I had the ability to look over claims this morning. It was early this afternoon, I guess you could say. I didn't really see anything that really stood out. Did you,
Yeah, well, I looked over the claims too. We had an installment to the contractor for the day treatment center that was sizable. Then, of course, circuit court, we had to pay for Roscommon County share into that.
mhm,
So there was just a couple of things that had to be done and nothing really stood out. I would ask our department heads and to look at their bills. We do not pay sales tax. I did catch a couple of them. So, you don't pay it. If somebody charges sales tax, we don't pay it. So cross it out, call your vendors, tell them, don't charge us sales tax. What? You got exception to that?
I don't have an exception to that.
Oh, okay.
I just had,
What?
I may be one of those people.
That charges sales tax? Or accepts bills with sales tax on it?
You know what?
Here,
Scott,
talk to
Don't
Santa.
don't question me.
Okay.
one of the things that, and to be honest with you, I haven't looked at it that close lately. But back in my former life, I always questioned why the county paid sales tax on utility bills. It was always on the utility bills,
Yeah.
and I was told at that time that because it's a utility, we had to pay state sales tax. And again, I don't know, and you saying sales tax, just the light bulb came on in my head.
mhm.
So I don't know what, because I questioned it, like I said, back in my former life at the sheriff's office. As to why, because we had huge utility bills, obviously, and why was it we had to pay sales tax on them? And I was told that because it's a utility, we're obligated to pay sales tax on utility bills.
Wow.
So I don't know. I don't know if
Utility
we're.
bill isn't in the claims part, but the number is.
Right,
So
but
I-
same with the telephone and,
Yeah. Yeah,
stuff like that. So I don't know.
that, but
Yeah, I don't know either.
one thing, when I look through receipts. and-
Right, I don't
you know,
understand exactly what
you
you're saying.
know, we all have done the claims and some things, when I see a department that has a small amount of paper product, and then one thing that's always seems to be on there is the Xerox payment,
Mhm.
for every
The
department.
leases.
You sign the outer cover, I understand that, but when we do have multiple lines of business that have a lot of different receipts, and I look through them, that's my job. And, when I come across some things like
Let's say
that.
hypothetically that somebody used their department charge card and charged the tax.
Oh, well, you're an elected official, I can't fire you, so.
You'll get an email for the gal that processes the card payments that says, please enter sales tax. Please complete the sales tax exemption. form."
Yeah,
All right, do we have a motion to approve the claims?
I'll move to.
What is the amount?
Oh,
Okay,
okay, 171, I thought here,
30102.
171-30102. Oh, you
And
got it right there. You can just-
I am not the one that needs to hear it.
You're the one that needs to hear it. I'm the one that needs to say it.
all right. So we've got a motion from Mr. Scott, and I will support
301.
the claims of $171,301.02. Any other comment or questions?
Good.
All right, roll call vote.
Mark Serbrook.
Yes.
Ron Vaughn.
Yes.
Craig Scott.
Yes.
Brad Newbecker.
Yes.
Jenny David.
Yes.
All right, item 8, unfinished business. Nothing? All right. Item 9, administrators report.
Okay, we'll lead off by announcing that the vaccine and testing mandate is back on. We've heard that the Sixth Circuit upheld the mandate. So right now we are on target to comply with the OSHA requirement, the rule that's been set out. Now, first things first, whatever we do, I'll make darn sure we coordinate with the courts. So we don't need two sets of rules in this building for how we approach this. There is a chance the Supreme Court could step in here and at any time and take this case on. Our counsel has suggested, based on 2 prior decisions of the Supreme Court, they probably will not intervene. So if that's the case, there will be an effective date of January 10th to have a vaccine and testing plan in place. So how we'll handle it is this: we do have a committee of the whole meeting scheduled for January 6th. By that time, I will have the amendment that we need to our preparedness plan to incorporate what the mandate requires of us. And it will be a choice. Either you are vaccinated or you will be tested weekly. We will go ahead and proceed with the administrative implementation of the plan on January 10th. Now, again, you haven't voted on it yet as a board, but the way we've written the preparedness plan is if a rule like this came about, we could go ahead and implement it on an administrative basis and then bring the resolution to the next regular meeting of the board to actually approve the change to the policy. And the board would then meet on January 13th, and that would be on the agenda in the form of a resolution. OSHA has stated they will not begin to enforce this until February 9th. And when they say enforcement, it means that we are making an effort to comply with the mandate as it's known to us. So that's the plan as it stands right now. I do think, and this will be fun to watch from the sidelines, so long as we're not a participant, I do think some counties are going to object and maybe not comply with this. The peril in that is the federal government holds a pretty big hammer over all of us right now with those ARPA monies. They could very easily say, you will comply or we will pull all of the ARPA money. We do not want to be in that position. If somebody like Eaton County wants to take the lead on that, more power to them, but I don't think we want to take that risk. I don't have a feel yet for what our ratio is of vaccinated to unvaccinated. The big question is going to come down to the actual testing for those who are not vaccinated. How will that be administered, and how will we be able to hold everyone to account for the test result that they're showing us? I've been poking around, looking at some other examples, what other organizations are doing. I certainly don't want to reinvent the wheel, and nor do I want to be sitting there reading COVID tests on Monday. So we'll figure out how best to approach that. I am concerned that there will not, at least by January 10th, and maybe not even by February 9th, there may not be enough of the COVID tests available for us to be administering here. So that may or may not be an issue for us to address as well. But that's coming. That will be on the committee of the whole on January 6th. We will also, by that point, have had a chance to review this with council and make sure that we are as much in compliance as possible. Second update for you, you may recall I sent a Freedom of Information Act request to the Aranet County Drain Commissioner for 3 documents. Those documents being the actual petition that started the Rifle River project, and any contract that inter-county drain would have with an engineering firm or legal counsel. Yesterday, I received a response saying they needed a 10-day extension, so we can expect to see the results for those 3 simple documents somewhere around January 5th. So again, very interesting reading, I'm sure, when that does get here. And then also an update on the administrative secretary. We had more candidates come in, so we now have 45 candidates. There is a folder on the Google Drive if you want his commissioners to review those candidates. I have also sent along a candidate ranking spreadsheet for our personnel committee commissioners, Scott and Serbrook, to go through those candidates. We have some very good ones. I just want to emphasize that we have some very good candidates in there. I think we've got a very good pool to choose from. I had hoped to be at the point where we were paring this down by today, but that's fine. I think we're still on a pretty decent schedule to have the whole interview and selection process wrapped up by the end of January, which is still consistent with where we wanted to be. So position is not filled, so if anyone else were to apply, we would definitely throw those applications on the stack as well, but time's running out. And then lastly, since this is your last meeting of the year, I just want to point out with the resolutions that were approved tonight, you approved a whopping 170 of those this year. I don't know if that's a record or not, but that's a lot of work that you've done this year. I think you're all to be commended for that. And of course, it's all memorialized on our webpage, so if you want to go back and relive some of those resolutions, feel free.
All right, thank you. Item 10, elected official and department head reports. Karen?
Karen Pulowski, your Ogemaw County Treasurer. In your iPads tonight, you'll see an Ogemaw County Annual Investment Report. Maybe a good time to review that. By statute, the treasurer should give you an annual investment report. I'm not sure if it was done in the past, but to make sure that we're in compliance, there is a report for you. Earlier this year, you passed a resolution to adopt a financial depository policy that limits my investments to the local banks of Huntington and Mercantile. Earlier this year, when I took office, I reminded you that interest rates are at a record low. It stayed that way all year. And with limitations of what financial institutions I can invest with, the chance of increasing interest income this year was not possible. I've been in communication with Tim as far as other banks in the area. Interest rates are no better at any other financial institution, so changing institution isn't going to help us either. The feds are looking at increasing rates. There's talk of that for the first quarter of 2022. I'm going to continue to stay short-term investments 60 and 90 days because to get anything better than what my local checking account or the current CDs I'm investing with, I would have to go out a year. So I'm going to keep everything short-term at this time. Moving on to my next item. This is not on your iPad, but I wanted to bring it to your attention. We had a Michigan Tax Tribunal change for McLaren, the old Kmart building that's now our McLaren Medical Facility. They applied to the state of Michigan for a tax tribunal reduction in their 2020 taxes and going forward because they are a 501c3 nonprofit charitable organization, and it was granted. They have lowered their taxable value for the years 2020 and going forward, and it was significant. We are issuing a refund or have issued a refund to McLaren in the amount of $125,027.36, which means every entity that collects taxes on our tax roll is being billed for their share of that refund. The price to Ogemaw County itself, we took a loss of $13,068.39.
So what was that again?
A Michigan Tax Tribunal reduction for the McLaren Medical Facility.
No, the last number you just,
Oh, for the cost to the county that we will lose in revenue for just 2020, $13,068.39. So that's not just a loss for 2020, that's a loss going forward until they are no longer a 501c3.
Right.
Okay, so I thought that was something that you should be aware of. I also wanted to let you know that I scheduled a land bank meeting for February 9th to discuss 3 unsold tax sale properties. 2 of them being the Mills blighted properties that you heard about throughout the year. So we'll be discussing those on February 9th. And I also want to thank everyone who contributed and donated to our mitten tree. Not only do we have several things still on our tree, but you'd be surprised how many people throughout the month of December were here in the building and needed items off the tree. We had 2 people today, so it was a nice thing to have in the building. I think we'll do it as a tradition now. So thank you, and Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other elected officials or department heads?
Does this need action? There's a resolution here.
It's the old one to be in compliance.
Oh,
with
I
the
see.
resolution.
That was just to show you what was adopted.
Got it.
Sure.
Good evening. I just got a few things. Shop with a Hero last Wednesday went really well. We had approximately 124 children. Special thanks to Walmart for hosting that. Appreciate that. Also, Rose City RV, they wrapped the gifts for the children. Special thanks to them folks. They brought their whole crew in and did that for us, which was awesome. Also, I deeply want to thank all our donations that we received. We've got a lot of people out there that really, a lot of children, so tremendously thanking them. Our graduation of our deputies, they graduated Delta Friday. Monday, they started their first shift, being trained by our training officers. It's gonna take a while to get them in where we need them. You know, they're pretty green. We'll get there. Our nights, our night patrol is gonna be filled the 27th, which is next Monday. We'll be 24/7 next Monday. We're gonna do a little shuffling there. We're gonna have 2 shifts out there, 2 rotations. And tomorrow, we're gonna be ringing a bell for Salvation Army. Our office is gonna take part in that. We're gonna try to help our own community. That money goes directly to our people, so definitely want to be involved in that. And also, January 13th, we are involved with the Michigan State Police for a winter coat drive. So that's the 13th. Drop off is gonna be West Branch, Moose Lodge. I don't have the time on here. I didn't put that out there, but it's out there. I've got it on the Facebook page and everything, so. And that's all I have. Merry Christmas to everybody and everybody out there in Zoom land.
Christmas.
Thank you for your support. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Sheriff.
Thank you.
Any other elected officials or department heads on Zoom? Don't see anybody else on there, is there? No.
I would.
Just Veterans Office want to wish everybody a Happy New Year's and Merry Christmas, and we have nothing else.
All right, thanks, Jeff. Breck.
Why, thank you. I would like to say happy 1-year anniversary to us 3 new elected officials. Merry Christmas, everybody. It's not his,
Huh?
is it his
We
1
just started.
year, 1 year?
Yeah.
Oh, it is, isn't
Remember?
it?
Just a baby.
You are a baby.
Just a baby.
Well, congratulations.
Well,
We've made it a
congratulations to
year
you too.
Here,
and we're making progress.
and to you, Brett.
Thank you. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. Matters from the floor. Any other matters from the floor? Item 12, motions for adoption. Any motions?
Nope.
Committee reports. Ron, you want to start off?
Yep, again, met the other day with the LEPC, Local Emergency Planning Commission. What we're working on is a Cert Team, which is a civilian emergency response team. We're gonna have a meeting in January. We had a meeting probably a year and a half ago. The only issue I seen with it was most of the personnel that showed up were either firefighters or EMTs, or that's not gonna work. If there's a major emergency in the county, those people are already gonna be busy. So we need volunteers from the civilian population to join this. And we just got a emergency management guy, I believe it was a $2,000 grant to get this up and running in our county.
So Mike Bowers is working on that. So, we'll see where that goes.
What did the PC stand for?
The LEPC, Local Emergency Planning Commission.
Okay.
And then the CERT is Civilian Emergency Response Team. And only meeting I attended.
So I also had correspondence with Mike as well, and we did discuss that, the emergency response plan. We also spoke about possible use of American Relief Plan monies. We were kind of talking about possibly looking at a generator for the Commission on Aging. We thought we were just thinking of different buildings that we could use in the community in case of a power outage extended. Where do our elderly and most needy go to get help? And who do they contact and how do we respond? So we talked about that, and he was going to reach out again to us and maybe try to expand on that committee, get some more people involved.
Great.
So, then I also attended the West Branch Township DDA. Not a whole lot new going on there. Really don't have a whole lot to comment on that, but it was a good meeting. So that's all I got. Commissioner Scott?
I attended the last meeting, attended my township meetings. Really big on the topic. A couple of them were talking about their ARP and was wondering how other townships were gonna work with it. The airport meeting, I got there 5 minutes late, just in time for adjournment. So I think that went rather smooth.
It did.
Yeah.
It went really
Yeah.
It was
smooth.
a pretty quick meeting.
Yes.
I missed it too.
Paid the bills and we were done.
Yeah, so, of course, our manager is out with the COVID right now, so, but they have a plan, so good there. I haven't been able to get to the road commission meeting yet this month. It is tomorrow. I hope I have an appointment at the new nonprofit medical facility tomorrow morning before that. I hate to now give them money so they can keep it and not pay their taxes, but oh, well.
There's another place.
It
in
was
town,
not,
you
it
know.
was not 100%,
Oh,
92%.
92%,
So they
okay.
are paying a smidge.
Yeah, all right, all right,
That's close enough to 100.
yeah. So that, I really don't have much. Merry Christmas, everybody, and, and I think buying season, Christmas buying season starts tomorrow, right?
Tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm on schedule.
It's already started.
It's the 23rd. The 23rd is the official start, isn't it?
Yeah, that's tomorrow, isn't it?
No.
No, tomorrow's the 22nd.
Oh, I got another
We
day.
still got 2 days.
I think Commissioner David can attest that it's already started. I'll say for
Quiet.
Commissioner Serbrook.
Ron, you forgot district health. Ron and I attended district health.
I was waiting for you.
I think that,
Week ago. Remember, it was early, so it was a week ago this past Monday.
That's true.
We had a board meeting.
That's true.
In between times. Nothing new and exciting there, though, really. Attended Clacking Township. The only big discussion at Clacking Township was over and I brought it up, committee of the whole, is this proposed camper ordinance, and people are, so we'll see what happens with that in the future, but I just, of course, everybody's concerned about the rifle drainage district. I told them, what documents that Tim had requested, I'm assuring everybody that, we're gonna look at the options that are available to Ogemaw County, we'll see what we can do. Met with DHHS. They thanked the board for approving the excess funding that was left in their budget so they could utilize that for their emergency funds. And what they use that for is people that have exhausted their state benefits. They've exhausted any outside assistance that might be available so that the 87-year-old lady doesn't get her power shut off in the middle of February.
Mhm.
So that money is very much appreciated. It goes to a great cause. they utilize it. There's certain things that the state doesn't provide to the workers. For example, child safety seats to the CPS workers. So they utilize some of that funds as needed, taken by child safety seats for their CPS workers in case they have to take a dual removal from a home, which unfortunately happens. And there's other instances of utilizing those funds. There's some seminars that the state won't pay for, that they send some of their supervisory staff to, their benefits. So the money does go to good use, and if they don't use all of it, I think that money going to emergency fund's a good thing. So met with EMS, nothing super exciting on the EMS side of things. West Branch City Council had a very nice meeting yesterday, and then they had an open house after the fact. They had some good snackies there. They got new chairs, and Jenna, I think you were the only one. I was talking about this before the meeting. City of West Branch got new chairs for the council chambers. They appear to be really nice at a reasonable cost. And I know we've kicked the idea around here about possibly getting some new chairs for us up here. So John's gonna get me the information on it. They're embroidered with the city's logo on them. And he said they were right around $200. So I mean, if, something we may want to consider if the rest of the boards, if you're serious about the chairs up here, so.
You are.
Yeah.
Other than that, I'd like to say Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Thank all of the employees, all your department heads. Thank your employees and you guys for doing a fantastic job as far as I'm concerned, and keep up the great work. And again, give them a big pat on the back and say thank you. Very much appreciated.
Thanks, Mark. Commissioner David.
I attended Mills Township meeting this past, I guess it was last week. They are looking at changing their legal services. They also had some blight issues, and then also they had some information from Karen related to those properties. They did, I'm sure that they touched base with you, they rejected taking repossession of those properties. So that was taken to the board. I also had an EDC meeting I attended by Zoom. Jackie Morgan from the USDA was there. She presented related to the grant for the revolving funds. Also, we're looking for a replacement. Mary Bickle unfortunately left the position. So there is a director position it's a shared position through the EDC and Michigan Works. They have had very few applicants. I think they said they've only interviewed one thus far that met the criteria. So if you know anybody, it's listed, it's posted through the Michigan Works along with Indeed. I think that was, I also have reached out to Senator Vanderwall's office. I'm not letting that go. I've emailed, I'm waiting to hear back. So hopefully there's more information to come going forward there. I wanted to thank those that have reached out to see how I'm feeling, doing much better. Thank you, but that was much appreciated. Brad, thank you also for filling in for me. It's not as easy as it looks up there, but you did a nice job. And I wanted to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a happy and healthy New Year. And it's been a pleasure working with you all this past year. Thank you.
Thanks, Jenny. All right, so we've reached item 14, general public comment. This comment can be over anything. State your name for the record, speak only to the chairperson, stand behind the podium when speaking, limit comments to 3 minutes or fewer, and follow the direction of the chairperson when speaking. Do I have any general public comment? Any comment on Zoom? Okay, no public comment. Do I have a
Motion to adjourn?
motion to adjourn?
Support. Yes.
Motion by Serbrook, supported by Vaughn.
All right.
We are adjourned.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Did the hammer.
Stay healthy.